P3 Theater Company, in association with the Del Shores Foundation and Beard Collins Shores Productions, presents the world premiere of The Red Suitcase.
People are like should they must. I'm not that dominant. I think people should go see the play because I think it's gonna connect with them and change their lives a little bit. Um, it's it's a universal story, told in not quite a universal way, but people should come to see it because I think it's going to affect them and change some of their thinking about parent-child relationships, um, about their own family, about their own parents, maybe. Um, I, I'm not trying to tell people that relationship is universal, but I just want them to think about their relationships with their parents. Um, and I think that's why they should. Now, whether they must or not is a different story. They must because I need them to see it. you know, they must because Del Shores directed it. They must because Emerson Collins is playing Pogue. They must because John at P3 has really put his heart into it and to make it the best production it can be. Hi, I'm Jiggs Burgess. I am the author of The Red Suitcase, and if you want to know more, then keep listening. Well, I found P3 Theater Company through the Del Shores Foundation. I was lucky enough to win their first Southern Writers contest in the full-length playwriting category. And John happened to be one of the adjudicators of that. He had all the finalists. He judged all the finalists. And after the award was announced through the Del Shores Foundation, he reached out to me to produce the show, and that's part of winning the Del Shores writer search. Is that the second my dog's here? But that's part of winning the Del Shores writer search is that money is given towards the production. So it's a unique opportunity to get together with a production company, and you have whoever comes to you. And I like John because in P3 because it was obvious that he loved the script. It was obvious that he was going to be I don't want to say gentle with the script, but he was going to be authentic with the script. He wasn't going to ask to say in outer space, or something like that. And so, and I just personally had a connection with John as well. And none of that would have happened without Del Shores and without Del Shores Foundation and all the people involved in that. I'm incredibly grateful to both the Del Shores and the foundation. Well, I like to say that, like all good things, the idea for the Red Suitcase came from a hotel room in Midland, Texas. I had gone. I was watching a high school, do one of my shows, and I stayed over in Midland, Texas. I had this dream that I was this. It was just bizarre, but I was a Red Suitcase. And so I went to see the show that day, and I texted my friends, like I had a dream I was a Red Suitcase. Well, while I was at the show, it just wouldn't leave me alone. And right after the curtain fell, I had to write a monologue. I mean, just right there in that theater, I wrote this monologue, and it's the opening monologue, and very little has changed about that monologue. And then on the drive home, what was supposed to be the original play came to me in a form, and it was supposed to be a story about a boy and his dog, an adventure. but I got to writing it, and I came to a place where something big happened, and I'm not going to give that away, but I realized I had to go back and relook at what the play was. But but it, like a lot of my shows, just would not leave me alone, and that's the reason I had to write it. If I didn't, it would have driven me nuts. What I can tell you about the play is that it's a play about a man trying to come to terms with um, his father, and so you know this man has already gone through this sequence of events, and he's trying to make sense of it. And one of the ways he's trying to make sense of it is by telling the story to us, to the audience. Uh, and with his he's trying to figure reconcile who his father was and his relationship with his father, with the violence that had been there, and with the love that came about later in life. And he's reconciling himself. He's letting go of a lot of self-hatred in doing that, and understanding that his father was doing what his father learned had been passed down to him through the generations. It starts out, one of the starting lines is, "We are the sins of our ancestors." And the closing line is, "We are the hope of our ancestors." And it's the journey between thinking you're a sin to thinking you're hope. And that really is the arc of the play. The father changes long before the narrator does. And it is a very personal story to me. I will say that. Dale actually excused himself from judging in the contest because he knew several people in different categories. So it was a surprise to me that, well, it was always going to be a surprise to me that I won, because I just don't know. But the reading that we had in Dallas through the Del Shores Foundation was just an incredible thing. We had actually, I believe, 4 actors that will be in the LA production were readers, and it was as close to a night of full theater as I've ever been to in a reading. It was just incredible. The whole cast was spot on. We didn't have much of a rehearsal, so that was even more incredible that they were able to do that. And it was incredible is the only word that I can come up with, but it's not the right word, because it was so much more than incredible. I'd heard these words read before, but not by such a talented cast. I'm not saying that my readers before weren't talented, but these people were spot on. And I think, as much as anything, to me, having it was a small theater, but a small theater full of people listening to these words and hearing their reactions, the laughter at the at the appropriate time, which is always nice. And then the emotion that came through, and how that piece connected, and it connects with people in a way that I had not expected. I thought it might be so personal that it might not connect. And Dale Shores directed the reading, and so when we were doing the show through P3, we had another director, and that director was unable to continue. And Dale surprised me. He called John and told him he wanted to do it, and they both just kind of held off on the information for me for a while, and then John got a hold of me and said, I found a director, and I don't know if you will approve of him. And so by the time I found out, of course I approve. Just, how exciting is that Dale Shores is going to direct your show? And from what I understand, Dale doesn't direct other people's shows. He there's this show, and there is another show that P3 is doing for Fringe called Wounded, and he had at one time expressed a desire to direct it. He's not for Fringe, and we're only doing part of that play. But it's just exciting, and he can bring along the actors that I want to. He, like I say, we have 4 of the lead actors that are from that reading that were so good. And he's got such a good eye for actors, and especially for this kind of work that is very much set in Texas. And he has an eye for authenticity, and I just couldn't be happier. And Blake McIver is the assistant director, who has quite a background himself as a child star and as a singer and director himself. So I've got kind of a dream team. I mean, down to the design artists that I have. And I say I have, that we have. It's just I got goosebumps now just thinking about it. And I do want to kind of cry about it because it's so incredible. And John has brought all this together. It's just, in having Dale, just the cherry on top. Well, it is the cake too. It's the cake and the cherry. Well, to have those people who did the reading come in and do your show, and it's, the fact that they were outstanding in the reading and they understood those parts right away, it just takes a load off as a playwright. And the fact that Dale could bring them along. 2 of them are coming from Dallas to do this show, and they are doing it because they want to. It's certainly not for the money. And then I have 2 that are already in LA, but one just moved there, and the other is Emerson Collins, who is also Dale's writing partner, had read this play and wanted to be a part of the reading. And when he read, I was like, he's got to be Pogue. He's got to be that lead character. And the fact that he's available is beyond to me, because it is important to have people that love the script, who understand it and have the talent to interpret it. Because some people love the script and they understand it, they don't have the chops, especially for the role of Bud, who's the father, who has to go kind of from a villain to somebody that we love and care about at the very end. It's not an easy thing at all. And so to bring those people in that know the script, it means everything. I don't have to teach them. I don't have to go through the motivations and things like that often you do with actors. It's just a wonderful thing. I'm looking to see how it connects with the audience and with the actors and the audience. There's nothing more that I love. There's nothing I love more than sitting in an audience and hearing the laughs where they're supposed to be, and hearing the tears where they're supposed to be, and knowing that I have now done something, told a story that has moved people and become a part of their lives. And that's all I'm looking for. I mean, any of the success that comes from this is great, but if it touches people and connects with them on a emotional level, that's all I can ask. I think it's going to surprise them how much they care for the father, for Bud. I think it's going to, well, I think the storytelling in itself is different enough um, to surprise them. But I really think that relationship that they're going to have with Bud, with the father, um, is going to surprise people. I mean, I think we know that we're going to love Pogue, who is the narrator from the beginning, but we don't know that for the father figure. And I just really think that's what's going to surprise people. People are like should, they must. I'm not that dominant. I think people should go see the play because I think it's gonna connect with them and change their lives a little bit. Um, it's um, it's a universal story, told in not quite a universal way, but people should come to see it because I think it's going to affect them and change some of their thinking about parent-child relationships, um, about their own family, about their own parents, maybe. Um, I, I'm not trying to tell people that relationship is universal, but I just want them to think about their relationships with their parents. Um, and I think that's why they should. Now, whether they must or not is a different story. They must because I need them to see it. you know, they must because Del Shores directed it. They must because Emerson Collins is playing Pogue. They must because John at P3 has really put his heart into it and to make it the best production it can be. Hi, I'm Jiggs Burgess. I'm the playwright of The Red Suitcase that will be playing August 12th through September 3rd at the Broadwater in LA or Hollywood. And I think you should come see this show because I think you're going to be affected by it. I think you're going to find a connection and have something to speak about when you leave the theater. And I think you're going to see some amazing performances and have a great night of entertainment. See you at the theater.